Welcome to a review by Brew. This week we're going to be trying 3 red ales. We got Tiny Rebels Cwtch, Magic Rocks Rapture and Lost and Grounded's No Rest for the Dancer. Now a red ale is, I would describe it as a kind of middle ground between IPAs and stouts. You've got kind of maltiness that you'd get in like a stout and a few hops bouncing around there that you get in your IPAs. Not so strong, usually between 4 and 7%, and you know a red ale when you've tasted a red ale. So going on to the beers that we got today. So we got Tiny Rebels Cwtch. Tiny Rebels are a brewery in Wales, and this is one of their core range beers. So they've got, I think it's about 6 beers in their core range, and this is one of their more popular ones. It's quite readily available. I got this one from a supermarket. It was £2.20, which is quite a reasonable price. And yeah, like they're a good brewery, quite big, and definitely making a name for themselves. The one in the middle here is Magic Rocks Rapture. Magic Rock have got an extensive range of beers. They're always doing new batches all the time, but again, this is one from their core range. So this is one, again, readily available. You can get it in supermarkets. It's a little more expensive. I think this was £2.50. And actually, Rapture was one of the first red ales I drank. In fact, it was the first red ale I drank. It was in a craft beer pub, and as soon as I got it, I was like, oh my God, this is a bit of me. It was just so different to the IPAs that I'd tried before, and I wasn't quite into the IPAs yet, so it was something I was kind of looking for. And I think it's because I used to like real ales, and this was the closest you had as that kind of build up to your hop kind of sensation that is IPAs. You got this kind of middle ground that really kind of built my palate up towards it. And then finally we got Lost and Grounded's, what was it called again? No Rest for Dancers. Around about £2.70 is what I got it for online. I don't think it's available in supermarkets or anything like that. So if you're looking for it, you might want to look online first. It's a bit stronger than the other 2 beers. It's 6.2%, they're 4.6%. So I'm expecting a bit more punch to it. Let's get started. I'm gonna get cracking with the Tiny Rebel first, and yeah, let's get into a glass. As expected, red in colour, or kind of almost orangey red. Nice little head on there. Nice and clear. A little bit of cloudiness, but it's nice and clear. It looks right. Oh man, it smells good. That smells really good. I think it's that, if you've had a red ale, it's a very familiar smell, but this is so well balanced. So well balanced. You get a bit of orange peel in there. You get like caramel, really sweetness just goes around it. So good. They've nailed this, and no wonder it's one of their most popular ones, because they've nailed it. Even with the smell, I can already tell they've nailed it. Oh man. All right, let's get tasting. Yeah, it's so good. It's just sweet, it's bitter. There's a bit of licorice in there. I love licorice. I mean, I got Finnish in my family, in my blood, and they love the licorice out there. And I get it in here. I get that sweetness, but kind of almost saltiness. But it's so good. It's like you get the orange peel, you get caramel, you get licorice. It's not too complicated. But it's so refreshing and so good. Every sip better. You can slug it, you can drink it. It's nice and light, nice and drinkable. Oh. Right, let's move on to Magic Rocks Rapture next. Slightly darker, not a lot darker. It's similar colour again, red ale. Visually, you should be able to tell. Much lighter than a stout, much darker than an IPA. Different smell, really different actually. It's funny, I say they're all very similar, they are, but this is a lot more toasted. That was very fruity, and this is more toasted. You get the caramel, you get the orange peel, but it's a lot more kind of, it tastes like it's all been put in the oven for a little bit longer, and it's just, oh yeah, it's really good again. just really warming. This one almost, I could imagine drinking this one by a fire and really enjoying it. You just get that really nice warming, almost like cinnamony, like Christmas warmth from this. And there's a bit of licorice in that. Let's give it a taste. Much more on the malt and the licorice, and that kind of, it's more heading towards that kind of toasted kind of warmth and spice feeling, whereas, as I say, the Tiny Rebel was more on the fruity side. It was definitely more of a sluggable one. This is one you really just want to savour. It's got a nice, as I say, just that warm kind of, yeah, I want to sit down at a fire, drink one of these and enjoy some gingerbread or something like that. You just really kind of, it really takes me back. It takes me to a kind of a bit of a Christmas time. It's not cinnamony as such, but it's just got that really kind of spicy feel to it. It's really quite good. Completely different, but you can tell it's a red ale. Yeah. Right, we'll move on to Lost and Grounded, the final beer for the day. Let's open this one up. Wow, that's darker. A lot darker. You can just see, you can barely see through it. It's quite cloudy. It's darker, you can still tell it's red. It's still got a redness within it. You can, if you look through at the light, you can see it's the same colour all in all, but it's just denser. It's got that dense look. It looks really good. It's got a more yellowy, creamy head to it. Smells richer. So I feel like we've got a scale here. So we've got the really, really fruity, and then more, it's kind of going more towards those toasted malts. And it's like they've, as I say, it's like it's been in an oven or in a toaster, and you've just, how do you like your toast? Do you like it pale or do you like it really burnt? And it's just going towards that direction. You got this really, really toasted feel with this. It's kind of, you're losing the hops. Kind of, I'd say you've got a lot more hops in the Tiny Rebels taste and smell. It's more on the fruity side. These two start to lean more towards those malts and the toastedness, and like the licorice, again, you get a lot of licorice in this one. It's kind of, the darker it gets, it seems that that licorice flavour really just kind of seems to cut through and really come at you, and I love it. I love it. I mean, not everyone will be a licorice fan, but it's subtle, yet just so, I can really appreciate that actually. So in the taste, again, it's going just more towards that maltiness. I mean, you're almost heading towards a stout here. Without the kind of coffee flavours or anything like that, you've got a really kind of toasted flavour. And I'd say if you're more of a stout drinker, this would be a great step down going towards IPAs if you're just not used to the hops yet. And you could probably use these three as a scale to get yourself to those hops, because you've got this kind of really, really toasty flavour that's, all in all, they all have this kind of aftertaste and kick that is the same feel, but they have this general kind of vibe around them that is just so different. And I really like that. I really like that these are just three completely different beers, but you know that they're in that same genre, they're in that same region, and I can really appreciate them all for their own kind of qualities, and they really are quality, all three of them. It's really tough to say which is my favourite out of these. I think I respect them all for what they are. If you prefer IPAs, you'll prefer this. If you prefer stouts, you'll prefer this. This one's a little more expensive, but it's also a little bit stronger. So for me, that price difference, you can just say there's a lot more alcohol in it, so it's deserved. This one's most available. So you've got Tiny Rebel, you can get probably almost anywhere nowadays. So there's pros in that. Very drinkable. I'd say because of the fruitiness, I'm heading towards Tiny Rebel as my favourite. Rapture used to be my favourite beer of all time before I really even started to venture, so it's difficult to say that I don't love this beer as well, because I just love them all. I really think They're a great example of red ales, and I couldn't have picked 3 better beers to really just go for it. I'm gonna finish this one.
Lovely red ales this week. Let's hear from our own Tiny Rebel. These are all warming ales, great fire drinkers, malty, toasty, caramelly. Is that even a word? It's all delicious. But which one is Brew's favourite? Tiny Rebel's Cwtch. Cwtch, meaning cuddle. Our own Tiny Rebel goes for the Tiny Rebel. A cuddly beer for a cuddly dog. Well balanced, orange peel, caramel, licorice. He's absolutely nailed it. I think that's it, mate. Can't think of anything else. Cheers, bird. Come here, Brew. Let's have a cuddle.